Today I'm going to talk about a brawler that you've probably seen once in a while but is in no way part of the meta. I'm of course talking about Clancy, who is considered a damage dealer but unlike other brawlers of that same category is often ignored for one reason or another. Now I will admit I also tended to avoid using him since from what I've seen he can be a bit difficult to use, but after 2 weeks of playing him I can confidently say he is one of the best damage dealers in the game. So with that said, in this video I'm going to talk about the best loadout and the best modes to use him on. Now if you watched my previous video where I talked about Gale basically requiring a gadget and a star power to be effective, well, the same applies to Clancy because he kind of sucks without them. One important thing to understand about him is that he has a similar upgrading system like Surge, in which dealing a certain amount of damage levels you up and improves something. However, Clancy requires you to hit opponents a lot more times to level up, which is not only tedious but also time consuming. So for that reason alone, I think the best and only star power you should get is Recon, which gives you 3 tokens at the start of the match. And that's basically all it does. It's simple and yet very useful, especially if you're playing solo showdown. His other star power, which is called Pumping Up, simply refills his ammo after you defeat a brawler, which I'm sure can be useful in some modes, but trying to eliminate a brawler while you're still at level 1 can be tricky. Anyways, moving on to his gadget, this one is a bit difficult to choose because I only took a look at one gadget and unlocked it without even noticing the other. Now the gadget that I'm using is called Tactical Retreat, which allows Clancy to dash forward while also reloading 1 ammo. All of this sounds good and all, but if we take a look at his other gadget called Snappy Shooting, this allows him to get double tokens per attack for 5 seconds. Honestly, while Snappy Shooting sounds like a great gadget, even if I did have it unlocked, I'm fairly positive I'll end up using Tactical Retreat more. That dash ability is just too good to pass up on, and besides, a ton of brawlers these days have some type of gadget or star power to help increase their movement speed. Now moving on to which modes Clancy does best on, you've seen me play him on solo showdown for a bit, and he does fairly well on it. That is if you have the right loadout, but I first want to talk about Gem Grab because this one is really special. Until recently, I didn't have his Recon star power unlocked, which is one of the reasons why I did not level up as fast as I wanted to in this match. However, because the maps tend to be smaller, if you have good aim, it's not that hard to land your shots, and using his Tactical Retreat also helps to either get closer to the enemy or dodge their attacks. By the time I did start using his star power, things definitely got easier, especially when the maps have a lot more cover. I only ended up using his super once in this match, but with how good my team was doing, that was to be expected. Now moving on to the second and last mode, I chose regular hot zone, and I'll admit I think this is my favorite mode to use Clancy on. Considering how everyone is trying to get to the middle as fast as possible, it becomes easier to hit targets and his super is more practical to use. Speaking of his super, this is where the damage dealer title comes from because it is insane how good it is. That is if you don't attack from a far distance. Apart from that, his level 3 attack also allows him to shoot towards the sides, though I can't say I ever eliminated a brawler this way, but I can say that I helped save this match with my quick reflexes and super. I mean, just look at the score. So in my opinion, Clancy is an underappreciated brawler, at least when it comes to damage dealers. As I said before, he does well in solo showdown, but I strongly recommend playing him in teams since not only you will have a better chance at leveling him to the max, but also winning. Anyways, have a good day.